So we've been able to take molecules such as I show here and the larger polymers, and we can put them into, onto textiles. We can use them as wipes on a surface. And we think we have an unlimited potential for these materials. What we're trying to do now is actually to get EPA registration, and we're using a material that absorbs light in the visible, and could be in clothing, could be in masks, could be in bed sheets in a hospital. The uses of these materials is practically limitless, and we think that we can make, especially we think textiles. We've already made textiles with some of these compounds put into the textile, and we find their killing is very effective, and we think it will be with the virus. We haven't tested that yet. So we think we have a huge potential, and there's really nothing like this that's gone through EPA registration. And I think that we have a good case for getting EPA registration fairly early, and then a fairly easy route to different products that will be very, very useful and probably be highly effective for preventing the coronavirus disease, not just for this pathogen, but for future coronaviruses that will be generated. We've seen with the coronaviruses, we get also again here, with certain materials, we get in the light, we see 99.9999% inactivation, which means that essentially the coronavirus is stopped. And we found that our materials reacted very well against viruses, but we only looked at 2 viruses at the time. It was hard for us to work with them, but the results that we got were really spectacular. And we published a paper about 6 years ago. And the viruses that we looked at were viruses that attack bacteria. They attack E. coli specifically. And so we'd been working with E. coli, so it was very easy to work with viruses. And what we found was that these viruses were completely inactivated by very, very low concentrations of a couple of our, or several of our materials, both small polymers, what we call oligomers, which are just 1 or 2 repeat units of the polymer, and large polymer molecules work very well. And we got killing or inactivation of 99.9999%, which is essentially total inactivation. Vaccines have potentials of doing great harm, and it takes a long time before a vaccine will be found that's perfect, that doesn't have potential threats to health at the time it's administered. We think these, in terms of being a stopper before you get to a person becoming sick, will be very potent. And these can be used to make, from protecting people who are working on the front line against the coronavirus, to people that want to go to a football game, or the players in a football game. If they have protective clothing, they won't be likely exposed to the coronavirus. Well, the market size is huge when you realize we're dealing with a pandemic right now, which has spread all over the world. So this could be used to provide low cost uniforms, clothing everywhere in the world. Potentially, we can have a very inexpensive product, but widely used and a huge market, just a limitless market.